Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Stories Worth Telling. And I'm so excited for this one, right? It's an interview with friends. So we have Mandy Penn from Mandy Penn Photography live with us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
So glad to have you here. And man, we've been talking about this one for a while.
We have.
So, because there is limited time and because we want a deep dive just to get to know who you are, tell us about who Mandy Penn is and how did you get into photography?
So I actually, I guess long story short, I used to model a long time ago, and I loved it. I craved, like why they were doing certain things, why they were posing me certain ways, where to put the light. It was super cool. But then I came back. I was in Kansas City, and I came back here, and I went to Denver and tried out for um, like a like a model agency. I walked in and I was lighter than I was today, and I had just chopped my hair off. And I think I told you this, Patrick, but this was like the big pivot in my. This was a big pivot in my life, like really pivot. Because I walked in and they were like, "So do you always carry your weight in your stomach?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, why did you chop your hair off? You look like a soccer mom." And at this point, this was 10 years ago. Like I didn't have kids. Hi, Denise. And so I didn't have kids, and I was like, I'm really skinny. Like, and so I came to the point where I was like, you know what, I can't do this and harm myself. And so I got in the car and I obviously cried because as a girl, as a human, you don't want to be picked apart. And as a model, that's all they do is they pick you apart. So I was like, that's it. Let's have babies. We'll just have babies, and I'll just kick that, since that's what they think I am anyway. So I, I, we worked on our marriage, and we got pregnant, and then I had twins. And then at that point in my life, I was kind of like, I don't want to lose track of these little babies because they were NICU babies, so they were like 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds each.
Oh,
So I
wow.
had people come into the NICU to take pictures because I had no idea what I was doing. And that's actually where it started, I guess, is from the modeling to this, to the kids. And then once we got a little bit older, we moved to New York City for my husband. He's a real estate agent now, but he was a sommelier, so he did wine. So I was like, yeah, let's go. I'm not doing anything. I don't have a job. I just have kids. So we went out there, and I didn't have anything to do. And so it was like, he got me a camera in 2016. Like at the beginning for my birthday. My birthday's in February. And so I picked it up, and it was just a Rebel, just something, basic, a lot of people have. And I fell in love with it. And then we came out here, and I was like, I gotta do this full time. Like, I just love it. I love creating things, and I'm a huge creator. I don't know if those of you who have seen my work have seen, my friend's stuff. I just did Game of Thrones, obviously, in this here. I made this throne, and I did a Game of Thrones shoot with some cute little puppies. But I love creating, and it's my way of creating.
Absolutely. And it's for those of you who haven't been privy to some of this stuff, you guys will definitely want to check it out. It's so incredible. Just the process of how the chair came to be, and then before that, right? I mean, these themes just keep coming over, and they're incredible, right? There's an office theme, right?
Yep, I did.
Yep, and then of course we have the famous now Friends photo shoot for babies that went viral. Last I saw was like 37,000 shares.
Yeah. So on my page, it got up to 41,000.
41. Wow. Okay.
Before, like Pop Sugar and Good Morning America and a bunch of those places shared it. So technically, it's been shared a lot more than that, but I don't know because it's just everywhere.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's incredible, and congratulations to that. And it was so funny because us being able to connect, and I got that little privy of information literally like 2 days before you posted it, and I got to see the blog beforehand. I just felt like I felt special because I was like, man, I got to see this before it launched. So I feel special for that reason. But it's just so awesome to see that your creativity, the hard work that you put in, and that so many people celebrated that. And so, talk to us a little bit and tell us and walk us through some of that. Before we get to that, real quick, guys, if you are watching live, just type in hashtag live, or if you're catching this on the replay, hashtag replay, just so that way we know. And definitely, if you guys have questions or concerns, or if you have information, if you want to ask Mandy, certainly feel free to post it up in the chat. She'll get to it, in the middle of our discussion, or if she doesn't see it, or if we don't see it, then we'll get to it definitely on the replay. So, but yeah, Mandy, tell us what that whole experience was like. I mean, from the creative side to then go into basically, like, I imagine just a huge overload, of going viral in such a short amount of time.
Yeah. So actually, this shoot I didn't make any money on because it was like my creative side. And I think that I'm just going to have to do these every now and then because I love them so much. So it all started with my starting newborn photography this year. And I was like, oh my gosh, how fun would it be to have like the babies on a couch? And I don't know if you know me, but I am a humongous Friends fan. I mean, I have this awesome mug. I mean, behind the desk, I have all the Friends stuff. So I was like, why not these two things that I love together? So like Friends and photography. So let's just do it, and let's do my favorite team, Friends. So I started putting it together, and I have a friend, Allie Coates. She was pregnant, and she found out she was having twin girls, and she is a huge Friends fan. And I post about Friends a lot on my Facebook page, and I'll do a lot of engagement posts, especially when it comes to Friends. And so I knew that she was a fan as well. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I know you have a newborn photographer and that's totally fine. Would you be willing to maybe have them come to the studio and do this? And so it started as just twins. There were going to be Monica and Rachel. We're just going to keep it simple. And then I went extra, like I always do. That is me. That's extra when it comes to putting my heart and soul in things. And so, so then it turned into the couch, that couch over there. Then it turned into, hey, let me get all the props. Sincerely, Danielle Shunk. She's amazing. She made the shirt for me. She does upholstery, but this was like a 1-2 week project. Like it didn't, like she got it out real fast. So, but then I did a model call, got the other 4 babies, and then I waited a little bit because I wanted to perfect it for me. And I posted it, and then it didn't really get many. It got shares from like my friends and the people that like me and love me. But then I posted it in a Friends fan group, and that is actually what made it go viral. So I posted it there, and because I'm obviously in all the Friends fan groups, and someone was like, "Oh my gosh, you have to check this out!" And then it just like I woke up the next day and it was at like 1,000 shares, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that's super cool. Like I've never had 1,000 shares. And then it got more and more, and I was like, it was crazy. It was crazy. So
yeah. Man, yeah. And I remember just like all of a sudden, I've seen all the shares, I think I reposted it to Twitter a couple of times and on my Facebook, and then must have been like 2 or 3 days later, right? And then that went from 1,000 to like 13,000 or 14,000. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, like a week goes by, and you're on Good Morning America, and then you're doing on, was it the Chicago News?
Yeah.
I mean, it was insane. So, it's incredible to know that like your art, was reached to so many people and so many people enjoyed it. I think that's an incredible piece, and I think that's the goal of every artist, right? Is to be able to share something, starting with that, turning maybe nothing into something, right? And being able to showcase your expression to that, and then have people, one, be willing to take a look at it, but two, I mean, to have it celebrated is incredible feat that many of us will maybe never ever get to. So how is the aftermath of that now, knowing that you've had that reach before? What does that look like for you now when you're moving forward with business?
Yeah, so it's twofold. Going viral is something super awesome, but then everyone expects everything else to go viral, which is not the case. And so everyone's like, oh, well, so I did the Game of Thrones things with the puppy, with the puppies, and I was, everyone was like, oh, that's going to go viral. And it hasn't. It might not, which is fine. And so I'm used to be really bad about, oh, only like one person shared it. Oh, only like 5 people commented. Only 10 people, liked it. And I have to go back to 3 years ago when I started my business and like how far I've come from there. And so I try not to compare every photo shoot to that shoot, because truthfully, at this stage in the game, I did that back in March, and it's, oh my gosh, it's July. I would have done that completely different because I've learned more, and I've done a lot of, a lot of different. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
People are calling me. So I would just do things differently. And the aftermath, it was interesting because I was very much, I like when people like me, and I like to be liked, like most people. But there were a few comments on the friends thing, and they were negative. And in my perspective, I was like, that's not negative. It's a baby. Like, it's a quote. It's whatever. And so I thought it was interesting. And I was like, everyone has to say their opinion. Everyone has to tell you how they feel. Like, just because you don't agree with what I did doesn't make it right for you to like blast me. But then again, you have to think, okay, well, bad publicity is still publicity. So like,
True.
I just let it go. I left the comments up there, and I was like, you know what? Like, all these other thousands of people like you, and you're like worried about these 2 comments about this thing. You know what I mean? And so, but aftermath, it's hard to live up to that standard of going viral.
It's the artist mentality for sure, right? I mean, we're our biggest critics too, and nobody can say the worst things than us. But the ones that do, we focus on those versus all the ones that basically, liked it and enjoy it and love it or inspired by it. So totally understand that, being a writer and all those things. But no, I just love the fact of how real you are with everything, right? And how, again, me being privy, I think, to a lot more conversations, maybe other people. So I feel blessed to be able to just have this friendship with you. So as you transition, right, and as you're moving forward and things like that, one of the things that we've talked about is pivoting the business, right? And so many of us have had to do that for so many reasons, whether it was COVID, whether it was social distancing, some of it's basically rebranding and things like that. So, what does this look like for Mandy Penn Photography? What does this look like for Mandy internally as a business owner? And for those of you who are tuning in live, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess now it is a better time than any. So COVID kind of hit everyone the same, but a lot different. So COVID hit me is I was going nonstop. I was shoot after shoot after shoot, and not charging what I was worth or what I thought. I charged what I thought I was worth. And that to me is a big thing. And we've talked about it, Patrick, about, you need to charge what you're worth in your time. So my time away from my children is valued differently than someone else's time away from their children, depending on how they value that. And so for me, this was a good time for me to look internally and see where I was lacking, truthfully. And my lack came in myself, not my skill as much. It was the believing in myself. And I think as a business owner, it makes it really hard because you compare. We're comparers. As humans, you compare yourself. I compare myself to the newborn photographer down the street. I compare myself to the person that's been doing photography for 20 years, and I'm in it 3 years, and I'm wondering why I'm not as good as them yet. You know what I mean? Like, we have these unrealistic expectations. And so I noticed that I was not valuing my time. Last year I did a lot of photo shoots, and truthfully, I barely broke even. And I had to look at that and be like, okay, well, Caleb makes money, but truthfully, real estate is super fickle too. So you have no idea. And so we're both self-employed. So it comes down to the fact of like, okay, what am I going to create? What am I going to give my clients? And so it gave me like a big like sigh of relief, I guess, because, I love what I do, but I can't do it for free. And most business owners, or you're not going to be in business very long. And I don't want to give this up. This is not something that I'm just going to do for a year and then, get a job or something. So.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest things that I learned early on, thankfully, is that you just kind of teach people how to treat you, right? And it's really difficult, especially if you're fairly new, because we are working so hard, so diligent to get the business, to get the name out there. But at the same time, you have to realize that you're not going to be the very best version of yourself if you're bending over and breaking yourself for everybody else, right? And it's a tough lesson to learn because you either get burned or you get burnt out. And then you look back and you're like, man, I could have done that differently. I could have spent my time a little bit better. And as you grow more into it, and I think especially as business owners, we realize time is the most valuable piece, right? And not to say that other people don't realize that, but I think we become aware of it so much more as a business owner
Yeah.
because you're in a constant state of juggling. So I really commend you for being able to recognize that, to be able to turn around and say, you know what, I have to really understand my value, my time, and the time that I'm taking away from the things that are important to me, in this case, your family and your children. And so it has to be warranted, to be able to conduct business, to be able to make that fit. So kudos to you to be able to do that. A lot of people maybe get to this point a little bit too late, or maybe at a breaking point and stuff like that. As you move forward, I know one of the things that has really separated you from maybe other photographers who are in maybe a similar niches, right? With, children and things like that. I know it's always been about the experience, right? And just kind of being able to look at that picture and be able to relive that moment as a parent, for the kids to have that beautiful picture as well at the same time. So, as you're pivoting and stuff like that, what are some of those things that the rebranding looks like?
Hi, Kelsey.
Hi, Kelsey. Welcome.
We went to high school together a long time ago. So anyway, so the rebranding, so really you can't really rebrand if you don't have a brand to begin with. And so my brand before was I did lots of shoots, I did lots of mini sessions, I just got people in and got people out. And like as fun as that was for me, it wasn't what I envisioned my photography business being. I envisioned my business being something more like an experience, like you were saying, like something that people craved, that some people don't get with other photographers. And I'm not saying that like I'm better than anyone and no one is better than anyone. Everyone just has different experiences and different needs, I guess, is the biggest thing. So what's good for you might not be good for Kelsey. Kelsey might want the person that gives them all the images and then they sit on her computer, or you might want, that one-on-one consultation and the products and you want to display it. I mean, you have photos, yes, having them for Facebook is good, but wouldn't you love to display them in your home? And I feel like that's what's wrong right now. I mean, what was wrong with what I saw that I did last year is most of my clients didn't print their images. And if they did, then that was awesome and it made me happy. But going into someone's home and seeing, their family like portrayed, like even if it's not my picture, I love seeing people's families. Like that's a glimpse in time that you can't get back. And whether or not it was, you and your husband had a fight beforehand, or you remember all that stuff. So if you show up to a session and the photographer, is really nervous or doesn't know what they're doing, or they are worried about other things, you know that, and you can see that in photos. So most of my photos that are end up being some of my favorites are the ones where I know they're having fun, the ones where I know I know they're being themselves. And so that's just, for me, my pivoting in my business is I'm not going to be actually taking on as many clients, but I'm going to give the clients that do value what I do, a more in-depth experience.
I love that. I think what's nice is it's a great way to give back to your clients, that dedication, that time, and really just provide that excellence. That that you're capable of, and that people have come to know and expect from you. I think I was having a conversation with my friend Aaron, who's tuning in live now, just the other day, and I just told him I never knew that scaling a business quickly could be so difficult because I mean, in the last month we've had a 45% increase in activity, whether that's servicing or the sales piece, and all of a sudden we kind of had some opportunities and some growth moments where we had to really dial it back and just say, I need to go back to the basics. I need to go back to doing what I do, which is basically taking care of people.
Right.
And because we were experiencing so much growth, it got us behind, and somehow it just really quickly all of a sudden blindsided us and went by the wayside, and we had no idea. Luckily, we had somebody who was willing to give us that gift of feedback to say, hey, I'm not getting the experience that I was told I'm going to get from you. And that really slapped me in the face, but I was so thankful that they gave me that versus turning around and just going somewhere else and then bad mouthing me, right? Because I fully would have deserved it. But to turn around and just say, you know what, you're right. Let me own that. Let me fix that. Let's spend quality time. I don't care what I have to do, readjust my calendar because you deserve that.
Right.
And that moment in time to be able to recapture that. And I think that this is the right step for you to be able to do that. I think this is what will set you light years apart as well in that experience. So kudos again for being able to be upfront and honest about that. I know it's a tough but necessary time to reflect and grow and then to talk about it, So so my friend Ed here, watching over from the East Coast, says that love that Game of Thrones throne. Mike down in Texas basically said Khaleesi. So, what's interesting is that we do this show to support small and local, but we have entrepreneurs from all over the country who tune in, who are interested in getting to know people. So for you as a business owner, all the things that you've learned in this short 3 years, what are some advice and things that you might give to somebody who's maybe on the fence, maybe people who have put some thoughts and energy, but maybe are yet to pull the trigger and things like that? What are some of your biggest advices?
I think as a business owner, I think so. I guess one is that you need to find self-value. I know I said something about that earlier, but you can't find your value in other people because other people will not value you if you don't value yourself. And so I've come to learn that in the past, especially the past like 6 or 7 months. But how you value me is actually how I have taught you to value me. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly what you said. And so it's finding your self-value is definitely key in running a business and knowing what you need to make. Keep track of your numbers is a big thing. Is that last year I went through and I didn't realize how much I was investing in my business monthly to actually make a living. Like last year I couldn't have paid for almost anything. And that's so interesting to me because my spending wasn't amazing, but I was investing it back in my business. But what of that money could I have been saving, or what of that money could, you know what I mean? Like, what do you have to show for that? So I think that that's another thing. And then a bigger one is probably get mentors. So talk to people that have been in your shoes, who have been doing your business for a long time. What are the things that helps them grow? What are the things that, I mean, I think you're great at your job, Patrick, but if I needed advice for photography,
Don't go to me.
I would
No.
go to someone who is an expert in that field. That's the same thing as like, if you're to take golf lessons, you would want to be with a pro, not an amateur who golfs sometimes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Philip and I, my husband and I, talk about that a lot about, well, you're asking, and don't ask advice from people unless you're willing to hear and take it with a grain of salt, I guess, is the biggest thing. So like, I've when I was going through this rebranding, I asked so many people, what should my prices be? What should I be charging? What does this look like? Would you hire me? Would you hire me? Blah, blah, blah. And I had so many mixed reviews. And I was like, okay, well, how am I gonna like pick something when everyone tells me something different? And so yes, I went to advice from like people who have been doing this a long time, but I also had to look at myself. And people are not gonna pay me, $100 if I only think I'm worth 25. No one's gonna pay me $4,000 if I think I'm worth $100. You know what I mean? So there's
Mhm.
like this, you 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 teach people how to value you, and then they can value themselves also. So those are like the big takeaways from what I've come in contact with. Um, and then obviously servicing your client the way the way you want to, so, um, and if people expect that, then you know, I guess you have to create that expectation. So, and what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you nailed the head on a couple of different subjects, right? Because one thing that you said that really resonates is that if you're not valuing your time, why should somebody else, right? If you're not valuing yourself and they don't see that, and I would say that, the goal of most entrepreneurs and business owners is to be able to get to pick and choose who they work with, right? Because there are certain times when you're going to come across people who they think that maybe their time is more valuable than yours, right? And to be able to turn around and say, you know what, this is not a great fit. um, and sometimes that is necessary. It's a hard thing to do, especially when you're trying to grow, if you're trying to put your name out there. But that alone kind of shows and tells people that, like, wow, okay, so maybe my prowess, maybe my time isn't more valuable. And sometimes it takes that hard stop for people to realize, okay, you know what, let's reevaluate, let's figure this out together, right? Because then they understand, you know what, she's right, her time is equally valuable than mine, so we should collaborate on this. Or you just realize, you know what, that's not somebody that I should be working with anyway if it doesn't work out. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, those are great things.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you say that. So I've never, every time someone messages me, I'm like, well, how can I help? What can I do? And that was last year. I did tons of shoots, stuff that, products I'm not a big fan of. Real estate I did for my husband the first year I was in business, and I hated every minute of it. So like Dawn, like mad props to Dawn, Christine, if you need real estate photos, go with Dawn. Do not call me. But that is what, that's what makes our industry really cool, is that I can't do everything, and I don't want to do everything. I want to perfect those few things that I do enjoy doing, as opposed to doing those things that, I don't mind doing for money. But it's
Absolutely.
interesting because I've had a few consultations, and I will tell people straight out, like, if there's something about me that you don't care for, or you don't get a good vibe from me, or, you're worried about the money, or you're worried about, or you just want digital images and you want to print them yourself, like, I might not be the photographer for you. And that's okay. I would rather you not hire me and get someone that you like. I tell people this on consultations because it's really hard for me to get a good reaction through my camera for people that don't feel comfortable with me. I am behind that camera, so if you're not comfortable with me, you're gonna look really you're not gonna look your best in those photos. So I tell people, if you don't like me, please don't hire me. Like, I legit tell people that. And I could never say that last year. Like, I would never tell someone that. Like, oh yeah, like how much can you afford? What can I do? Like, okay, well, let's like meet in the middle. And now I'm not willing to do that because that's my time and my energy. And it's interesting to go into these consultations and actually like kind of interview my client instead of them interviewing me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a complete different mindset. And there are so, 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 so many photographers out there. So many. And mom photographers. So I am a mom, but my income comes from photography. So I don't want someone to be like, oh, she does it as a hobby. Like, it's not what I want to be looked at. I'm not just another mom photographer. I want to be that extra for those photographers, that those clients that want extra. So, but
Yeah, and be able to have your creative twist on there and be able to put that, your whole heart and soul into it. Ed says, I feel some people mistakenly think that for the most part, all photographers focus on the same things. If they really looked into it, there's so many different areas of photography. Absolutely, Ed, and obviously Mandy has way more experience than what I have, but just even on this channel, right? Last week we had Dawn, who's a real estate photographer. She also wants to expand her portfolio more into products, right? So foods and content, of tangible products. Mandy obviously just said that she hated the real estate world.
We were talking, and I was like, "Mad props to you for shooting things that don't move," because it's a different ball game. But I never loved it, and she does, and you can tell that. And so I love that there's so many niches out there. And I think that Ed, with your comment, I feel like, yeah, there's different, areas of photography, as whether that goes to like genre, but there's also different types of photographers. So you have the person that shoots 1,000 pictures and sends you them all unedited. You have the person that edits 40 or to 80 or something and sends you them. You have the people that don't even give it out digitals. They just do prints, and you get the digital if you get you have to order a certain size. And so there's all these types of photographers out there, and I don't think people know that that's a thing. I think they just look at the price and be like, "Oh, I can't afford that." Okay, well, this photographer is charging you $200 to show up, take your pictures, edit them, and send them to you. Okay, or this photographer is charging you $1,000, but they're doing a pre-consultation. They're sending you a guide and they're instructing you throughout the whole thing. Then you come back, you order your prints, and you get digitals with your prints, and they're creating that lasting experience. So it's kind of, and not everyone wants this. Not everyone wants to pay that kind of money or higher. I know photographers all over the world that make 10 grand or more on one session. So it's basically what type of photographer you want taking your pictures. Do you want someone who, does it and does it well and is efficient, or do you want someone that actually takes time and, energy? And there is a price point that comes with that, but the price should, the benefit should outweigh the price. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
Time, but like,
and I always recommend everybody, for regardless of what type of service or business you're going after, right? There is a type A and there's a type B for everything, right? It's not like you go to McDonald's and that Burger King's don't exist, and so they may not offer the same exact thing, but they offer same variations of it. And so it's your due diligence as a consumer to make sure that you're asking the right questions. And a lot of us don't. We just hear, "Oh, who's a great photographer?" and somebody tags somebody or somebody knows somebody, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, cool, what's your price point?" And then somebody's like, "Oh, well, I charge 300," and somebody's like, "Oh, well, I got somebody for 200." Like, but what's in that 100 versus the 3, or the 200 versus the 3? And so as a consumer, you should be asking those questions, but most of us will just say, "Oh, no, we can't," right? And it's kind of a problem with a lot of industries. My industry, obviously, for insurance, there's 5 major companies that are self-insured, but they advertise on price, and so the focus really is that we have to kind of maybe break away from some of that. We have to understand where is really a good deal, right? Like maybe buying a crappy pair of jeans and how many times you can wear that versus a name brand pair of jeans, or comfort level, right? Some of those things may weigh in on your decision. What you get in the experience with Mandy Penn maybe versus somebody else, those things are things that you should weigh in on. And, or insurance. Man, hey, I want just the lowest amount of coverage possible. Okay, but you have a $500,000 home. It doesn't matter. I want the lowest price possible. Well, now you have an accident. Now you have to sell your home to try and make up for it. So definitely, I think that's a huge, huge takeaway for a lot of us watching this now, is just there are different types of photographers and different packages. And you really have to maybe do a lot more digging to really feel like or to understand what you want. And this is why we wanted to have you on here, to be able to talk about some of those things, because a lot of this are things that we don't know about your industry.
Yeah, and a big thing with me is, I mean, I am completely honest, and I once I finish my rebranding, which I'm hoping will be done in a few weeks, so I'm going to roll it all out. But I'm going to be including additional things with with my packages. I'll show you one just so that you. But so this is an image box. This is just a sample, but so this is an option with my packages that you get, and you can. It actually, this is just a sample, so it's like a smaller one. It's an 8x10, and they're matted prints. They're not prints from Shutterfly. They're not prints. And everyone is like, "Oh, Shutterfly is great." Well, when you have a lab that creates, amazing pictures and actually takes your images and makes them that much more beautiful, that is different than taking your images to Walmart. So I'm going to be offering those with my packages, and then you get wall art as well. And I got just a minute. It's really heavy, but it's like my favorite thing ever. So I printed this, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's like this bonded canvas texture.
Oh, wow.
You can see like the texture in it, and it's beautiful. But that's another thing, is that you have photographers that sell products, but they'll sell you them, and then they don't know how to take care of them. So they get the photographer that's like, "Oh yeah, you don't have to put that behind glass, it's fine." And then, or the photographer that's like, "Yeah, you can put this behind glass, but then if it touches the glass, there'll be humidity, and then it actually like strips the picture." So you need someone who actually like knows what they're doing, but actually cares about the longevity of your product that you're giving. So, I mean, if you want something that's going to last a year and fade, then go to Shutterfly. That's fine. And I mean, I was that mom. I was that mom that didn't value, the products. But when I walk into my house and I see this beautiful gallery wrap that has been in my house for 2 years, I just like smile, because I'm like, it still looks exactly the same way it did 2 years ago. So that's just, you just have to find out what works for you. Sorry, my dog is.
Just come with like the perfect stretch too.
Yeah,
like
there, it's fine. And she's, so if she runs into anything, I'm sorry, she's blind. So
no, that's such great knowledge for a lot of us who aren't behind the camera, or who are only behind the camera on our phones. There's so many different things that that we have to know, and so I'm just thankful for you to really kind of point some of those things out. Question here that we've been really kind of has become our staple question here, and let's say that there were no limitations, whether it be time, money, maybe even kids or family, or any of those things, right? What are some of those things that you would want to cross off the bucket list?
in like
Business, personal life, a little bit of both, whatever.
business wise, I really, really want to open a studio in a home, but like not this studio, because this isn't my home, but I want my biggest dream right now is to go into work and not have to clean toothpaste off of the bathroom that my clients will be going to the bathroom and washing their hands in. That's like my biggest thing. I'm like, I want to go, but I don't want a commercial property. I want like a home. Like that is my style. My style is classic and very simple. And so I would love like, the white picket fence with like Mandy Penn photography, and like have all these different rooms for me. And so that's actually my big goal. And it's, my bucket list, but it is a definite goal. And I'm going to be there in 5 years, because I'm telling myself I will be. So
That's awesome.
that's a huge thing. And then travel. I love to travel. I mean,
of course.
so,
Anywhere in particular that are some places on that travel list?
So when Caleb and I were dating, we went to Italy, and he was with a bunch of friends, and we went on EF tours. And so I was hanging out with these girls that I had no idea who they were. But Florence is by far the most beautiful place for us. Everyone likes different places, but for us, Florence was just like exquisite, like so beautiful. So for our 15-year anniversary, we are hoping to go back to Florence, and I'm hoping to bring a photographer with me and have her document all the things. So, stuff like that. I feel like creating those travel, traveling with the kids, especially, not just me and Caleb, but have Declan and McKenna come with us. For those of you who don't know, I have twin 7-year-olds. And so have them come with me and experience that when they're at a young age. I didn't get to travel until I went to Italy in college. And so I think that travel opens up a whole new ballgame. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's incredible. And you know what I love the fact of reoccurring thing that we see with these questions is that for most of the entrepreneurs and business owners, most of them feel like that they would still be doing what they're doing, right? They just would do it maybe slightly differently. So, I think that's good reaffirmation. Just know that you're where you're supposed to be. We'll definitely talk about the studio stuff because I have a friend whose idea of maybe doing like a stream house for content creators. Maybe it's a shared space now, right? So, so we'll talk. And then, we just have a few minutes left here. So just real quickly, is there a fun fact or a unbeknownst fact to the public that Mandy is really willing to share about herself?
Unbeknownst. I'm trying to think.
I know I threw you on the spot with this one. So
you did. I was not I don't know. I'm like, what's for those who didn't know, I used to be baton twirler, and I was really good. It wasn't like Miss Congeniality where she like stuff on fire. Like, it was good. I was really good. I don't know. I'm like, that's the only thing that like most people don't know about me.
Hey, no, that is great. So for those of you who are watching, type in #candid to make sure that if you want to connect with Mandy, she'll reach out to you. But for those of us who do want maybe proof that she's a really good baton twirler, maybe we can do #baton and we can get some content for it.
To twirl a pencil or something.
So last thing really, and this is just kind of a newer segment to us here. Because as a business owner, we find ourselves in this bind of lack of time or, just really busy. So for me, it's really important to make sure that I'm taking that time every week to just kind of give thanks or acknowledge, a lot of the blessings that we have around us. So, as for you, in the last closing minutes, is there anybody that you would like to be able to just kind of give that acknowledgement to, say thank you, shout outs, or any of those things, to be able to go ahead and so you have that dedicated time?
Yeah, of course. So I want to thank Caleb because he's put up with me for almost 12 years and just seeing me through this. He's been my rock through all of this. My friend Melissa Stinsky, she's an amazing photographer, newborn photographer. She taught me a lot about wrapping. My friend Alexa Steele is an amazing newborn photographer, and we've been talking a lot. There's this gentleman named Richard Firth, and he actually took time out of his schedule to teach a bunch of us through. I'm in a guild, in a photographer guild locally, and he took time out of his Wednesday, every Wednesday for the past 8 weeks, and he taught us how to study for the certified professional photographer test, which I took on Friday, and I passed. So yeah.
Nice, congratulations.
There's so many people that I can thank. I went over to Larry Atkins' house today, and we talked about how to get my master in photography. Like, there's so many people that are helping me daily, and so many mentors, and they're all in a good, and they're all better than me, which is what you want to surround yourself with. It's all these people who know more than you.
Definitely.
And, yeah, I guess those are the main people, but and from Danielle Chung, sincerely Danielle Chung, she like kicks my butt all the time. She's like, "What have you done today? Have you done anything? Are you in your pajamas still? Like, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Well, stop calling me out."
Yeah, she's pretty awesome for sure. So, well, great. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed your time and getting to know Mandy Penn. I think there's a lot of great insight. And so, Mandy, just thank you so much for your time. It really means a lot that you would especially in the middle of this rebrand and realizing and figuring out, the importance of your time and your worth, that you would actually take this time to come in and be here and spend this time with us. So I greatly appreciate it. And last question here is, as a community here in Colorado Springs and Colorado, or anybody who's watching maybe elsewhere, what are some things that we can do to better support you as you transition into this new branding and the pivoting of your business?
Pivots. So I guess the biggest thing is just, I mean, I like to know people. I like to get coffee. I like to have Zoom meetings. I like to know people. I think reaching out, and even if you are not going to ever use me, that's fine. If you ever want like a consultation, like I'm always down to talk about what I do. And I mean, sharing, liking, and commenting is always appreciated, because it just gets my name out there. I get tagged a lot in on Facebook groups, and that always helps me. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I saw that you were tagged," and that, so I didn't tag you. And I'm like, "Oh no, still tag me." The more tags you have, the more people will contact you.
Yeah,
Because you've been tagged once doesn't mean you can't tag them again. So
sure.
that's a big thing. And Lauren, let's get coffee. Yep, you message me. We'll go get coffee.
Yeah, and I think that's a great reminder. Just a little share, a little comment, little review on somebody's page goes a very long way for business owners.
Huge,
Yeah.
especially on Google. Like, it's insane. And Facebook, people look at that stuff, like what you do for your clients. So.
Absolutely. So guys, all of the information, again, where's my finger? Right there. For Mandy Penn, again, reach out. Again, when we bring the people on here, most of them they're willing to be able to help out new entrepreneurs and stuff like that. It's just a matter of you taking advantage of that. And again, we all understand time is important, but a lot of our guests here, they have this collaboration over competition mentality, and it's all about who you know versus what you know most of the time. So again, Mandy, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. Guys, appreciate you tuning in. We'll post the YouTube link in the comments, so that way you can like and follow and subscribe on the actual channel in case you missed anything. I don't know if these Facebooks, how long they stay on there or whatnot, but at least on the YouTube channel, you have a chance to go back and take a look at all of our guests with just a few clicks. So thank you again, and you guys have a great day. We'll catch you next time.
Guys, thank you.